Mario, Link, and Kirby have killed hundreds in their respective games, but what happens when you just give the main character a gun? On this episode of Nintendo Kill Count, we track every enemy we murder in our playthrough of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the 2010 game, on the Nintendo Wii. The campaign jumps right into a global conflict and I have no clue what is going on. It's almost like there were two games made before it that I hadn't played. Anyways, I think Russia has invaded the West, there seems to be some anti-Russian Russians, and everybody hates this guy named Makarov. Upon completion of the first mission, I realized I'm going to die more than I expected. Partly this is due to my unfamiliarity with the game. Even if it's been a while since I touched the only other Call of Duty I've ever seriously played, the original Black Ops, I have a general idea of where enemies spawn and the level design. Here I was reminded that if you don't know what to expect, it makes each firefight a lot more intense, and you can unintentionally put yourself in a disadvantageous position. On top of this, I was much less of a bullet sponge than I anticipated, and perhaps more importantly, grenades did way more damage than I remember from my time in Black Ops. On several occasions, I saw the grenade icon and confidently told myself, I'll just tank this one, only to immediately get blown to smithereens. Another aspect increasing the difficulty was that taking suppressive fire or getting shot increases your weapon sway to an insane degree. Also, I'm just bad, but I prefer to live in denial. There are too many levels to go into detail on all of them, but let me grab a few greatest hits moments that stuck out to me. I'm a sucker for a silent sniper rifle stealth infiltration mission. Now the first one takes place in Africa, but how will the game clue me in that we've moved to a new location? Ah yes, the classic hyena hanging off the arm trick. Now I know where I am. Add him to the kill count. Speaking of animals, this chicken is immortal. Trust me, I wanted to add him to my collection, but he just takes it like a champ. A unifying plot element in the campaign involves saving who I believe is the Russian president and his daughter. In one of the later missions, we finally breach the door to rescue him, and what do? Fill his lungs with lead 3 times. Oops. Maybe you shouldn't send the guy with the body of a mildly athletic chess player to try and save a world leader. Besides your standard assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, and snipers, numerous missions give you access to helicopters, mortars, and UAVs. Including these unique weapons does 2 important things. First, it adds variety, and even though I enjoy the basic weapons and moment-to-moment combat, calling in airstrikes or utilizing a drone does a lot to spice things up. Secondly, these scenarios often lead to crazy cinematic set pieces. As someone who is FPS illiterate, I find it interesting to consider how the first-person shooter genre can evolve. Sure, you can vary location, weapons, and time period, but it feels like a restrictive genre in general. High-speed train chases, UAV segments, weird gravity, and even the Eiffel Tower collapsing all contribute to capturing this feeling of epicness, giving the future promise that the more basic corridor-to-corridor combat will lead to an exciting blockbuster action movie moment. I'm certainly not saying this game is the first shooter to do this, but as someone who plays few games of this style, it stood out to me as a natural game design choice. Motion controls are a huge aspect of most Wii games, and Modern Warfare 3 is no exception. When they work, they just feel so smooth. This is obviously blasphemous to the FPS community, but outside of mouse and keyboard controls, I don't think I've experienced a better aiming system for shooters than the Wiimote and Sensu Bar. As I mentioned earlier, the sniper missions are my favorite, and when you can physically aim and chain kills together, it just feels intuitive and just plain good. Now, they are hardly perfect as I experienced some issues with the Sensu Bar, which would cause my reticule to bounce all over. But besides this, I found the default controls to be pretty decent, as they didn't force motion controls into other aspects of the game. Oh, I did forget that there was a jump button, which kind of hosed me for a while on the last mission. My poor AI companion must have been so confused why I kept falling off this elevator instead of making the tiny leap necessary to move to the other one. As has been the case with many recent games, it is incredibly hard to count kills. Calling in an airstrike and hiding behind cover forces me to use something completely unreliable, my intuition. My allies blasting soldiers off screen, combined with the muddy visuals, further contributed to the cluster of counting, and honestly, I could easily see the kill count varying by triple digits one way or the other, but it's just impossible to know, and I'm okay with that. So, how many enemies did we kill across the entire campaign? In total, as the various soldiers in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, we killed 1,505 enemy foot soldiers, 44 tanks and other land vehicles, 24 helicopters, 4 civilians, 7 friendly soldiers, 4 hyenas, and the Russian president 3 times. This brings the grand total to 1,591 kills. Full disclosure, I originally had several more categories for vehicles, but accidentally started counting them all as tanks. So yeah, I just lumped them all into one ground vehicle group. I also lumped named enemy soldiers like Makarov into the foot soldier category, with the exception of the Russian president. 1,591 enemies puts the various protagonists of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on Nintendo Wii in second place, just behind Aragorn and friends from Lord of the Rings: Aragorn's Quest. I guess giving the main character a host of modern firearms leads to an increase in kills. Who would have made that connection? Rounding out the top 5, we have more traditional video game characters with Michael Ford from The Conduit, James Bond from GoldenEye 007 on N64, and Sonic and Friends from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Be sure to go back and give those videos a watch if you're interested in learning more about how they clawed their way to the top. Future videos will return to more classic Nintendo games like the Marios, Kirbys, and Zeldas, but I have enjoyed seeing where these third-party games ranked. Like and subscribe for future content, and thanks for watching.